Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a delicious dish in the Instant Pot that you guys can make also. I'm making this for a potluck for our gathering here, but if you are wanting something like this, you can make either a large batch of this like I'm going to, or a much smaller batch that is more custom to you. It's super simple, just a few ingredients. It's time to get to work. Let's do this. First things first, we're starting off with all of our side items. We have two large shallots. These are pretty decent size. We also have one red bell pepper that is a large red bell pepper. And then I have a pretty hefty garlic right here that we're going to work with. All of these things I found at my local grocery store, and they're very easy to find, very inexpensive, and very flavorful. Now for this recipe, we're going to take all of these things and I'm actually going to cut them up, and then I'm going to go ahead and put them into the Instant Pot at the bottom, and it shouldn't take but a couple minutes to do this. So like all good recipes, I got to get out my knife so I can get started on this. Should be pretty interesting. This shouldn't take too long. I just want to start it in the Instant Pot pretty soon so that we can start getting some flavors together. And oh my goodness, where is my knife? It appears at some point I do need to sharpen my knife personally, but if you have a sharper knife, this won't take near as long. Dry garlic. Now, one of the things that I'm doing here is I am not wanting to get out my cutting board, and because of that, I'm using this tiny plate. And normally this works out really well, but for garlic specifically, it's a little bit harder because I need to be able to pivot the knife more. And so I think I'm just gonna kind of improvise and do something a little bit different with this and get the garlic chopped up a little bit more finely. And then I'll put it onto my plate with my other things, and then we'll be able to start our actual Instant Pot. Okay, everything is now all chopped up and ready to go into the Instant Pot, and we're gonna start off the Instant Pot with just these items, and then we're going to add in a few other things. So into the pot it goes, and this will just take a minute to get everything in here, and then I'm going to start building the base for our sauce. Okay, first and foremost, I have the beef broth here, and this is going to be the start of our base. Now next up, I'm going to actually be using this red wine here, and I'm going to use a little bit of it. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but I'm going to use a little bit of it, and that's just going to add a little bit of flavor to it. It's going to really absorb into the meatballs. It should be delightful because it's going to accompany something else that I'm going to put in just a moment. So any kind of red wine would work, but specifically for meatballs, I think that something more like a cab would work better. So I just got a twist top. Nothing super fancy, it's just inexpensive, and we're gonna pour a little bit in. It definitely smells a little fruity, but not super, super fruity, which is what we're wanting. So inside we go. I'll pour about that much in. I could probably do a little bit more. So right about there to make it nice. And the alcohol will actually cook out, so it's not going to have an alcoholic quality. It just is for flavor. So then we can recap this, and then I'm going to add the next ingredient. Now the next ingredient, it is a Better Than Bouillon organic base. This is the beef one. This one is going to be really super good inside this because it's going to make the sweetness of the wine and then our secret ingredient come together and have a little bit more of a robust flavor to it. So this is going to be absolutely delicious. Now in this, I'm just going to pull out about that much. Should be enough for this. This is a little bit more than I normally would use, but it's going to be really good in this. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that goes in there. And then I'm going to mix it in really well with our other ingredient in just a moment. But this is what it's looking like. We have a lot of little robust aromatics, some delightfulness, some peppers. And then as this starts to get warmer, then we will be able to break down that bouillon a little bit more. You can see it dissipates whenever you start to stir it around. Now that we've built up all those flavors, it's time for our secret ingredient. This is actually a cherry jam. I'm gonna be putting a little bit of this in here to add some sweetness and a little bit of punchiness. Now, this is a jam that I purchased at a farmer's market. This is my favorite jam. It is so good. It's not anything too like chunky or anything, so it's not gonna be weird in texture, but it has such a good flavor, so I think it's gonna be perfect for this. And then I'm gonna add in my seasoning after this. Okay, I'm gonna start off with this. Of course, jam is gonna be sticky, so it's gonna take a minute to get off of the spoon, but it can do it, it can do it. Okay, I'm just kind of stirring now, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the Instant Pot so it can start to warm. And while it's warming, this will all start to mix together better. And then whenever we put the meatballs in, it'll immediately start to build. And here's our rock star, just some great value homestyle meatballs. I'm gonna go ahead and put these into our mixture because it's heating up. And I'm gonna make sure that I coat all of the meatballs with the sauce. Time to cap it. Okay, it's time for us to set this up now. And I was debating on which mode I wanted to put this into because realistically it mostly needs to just warm because these are already cooked meatballs, but I do want those onions to get nice and cooked down. So I think what I'm gonna do is put it in a pressure cooker mode. I have it for 35 minutes, but I probably will relieve the pressure on this well before 35 minutes is up. I'm at 89% of this battery. It's cooking at 577 out right now. And again, it's going to pressurize for a few minutes, and then once it gets there, it'll drop down. Now, I don't have a recipe for this or anything that I'm following. I'm just using the things that I know, the things that I enjoy. And I also talked to Mateo a little bit, and he suggested the bouillon to add in there in addition to the base. So I thought that was a really good idea, and I wanted to pass that on to you guys. Now, one of the things that I truly enjoy doing is just playing with food and having a good time and relying on flavors that I enjoy and putting them together in a way that makes them work together so you have more things. For example, something like this cherry jam is great for breakfast. I can put it on toast, I can put it on waffles, but being able to use it in a more savory application is awesome, and it gives you more bang for your buck when it comes to all of your different groceries. Now, along the way, there are many things that we get that we might cook too much of, or we might have a better deal if we purchase a little bit more than we normally would. And this is a way that we can use those ingredients by using them in different ways, as opposed to just making one thing and then having lots of leftovers that we might not like. Now with this, I am cooking the entire bag of meatballs because there's a large group of us. Right now there's 11, there's going to be 2 more arriving, so 13 people altogether. I figured this was a good dish that I could share with everyone. However, again, you could make this in a much smaller batch and just portion out your ingredients accordingly. I try to make it easy for you guys, but along the way, again, stretching ingredients, using different things, be creative, and again, try different kinds of cooking devices. No one nomad is going to have the perfect solution for every nomad. So by showing the Instant Pot or the Ridge Monkey or the air fryer or even a couple of other things that I have in here, you guys have seen me cook in a variety of different ways over actual flame, through electricity, and in a variety of capacities. And I hope that inspires you guys to realize there's more to life than just a PB&J. There's so many things that you can have. Van life is just like regular life. It just takes a little adapting to your space. Once you do, you can create something pretty epic. I just went and turned them at about the 10-minute mark, and they're back in, and I've already bagged up all my trash. I'm cleaning up my space, and this is the best thing that you can do is as you're moving around, just clean up after yourself. It makes it so much easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these last couple things up, and we should be ready in about 15 minutes. Okay, here we go, and we push the button, and there it goes.